everybody, it's Karen Bentley here with the Sugar Free Advantage channel. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to talk about grocery shopping for breads, how to do it. It's really easy peasy if you just follow a few simple guidelines. Bread is one of those food categories that you're always going to have to be careful with. You're going to have to shop smartly and consciously when you choose your breads because breads can raise your blood sugar. It's one of three categories of foods that will raise your blood sugar. You have anything made with flour, which includes breads. You've got anything made with caloric sweeteners, which is sugar and high fructose corn syrup and molasses and honey and things like that. And the third category is starches. Those are the three categories of foods that are going to raise your blood sugar the most. So we have to be smart, we have to be careful, we have to be very conscious when we're choosing bread. So here, just to review with you, this is the glycemic index of breads. So you have white bread, a glycemic index of 75 plus or minus 2. So recall that sugar, table sugar, is just 64 or 65. So plain old white bread can raise your blood sugar more than sugar. Wheat bread, whole wheat bread, just because it's brown doesn't mean it's doing anything for you. It's 74 plus or minus 2, which again is way higher than table sugar. The one kind of bread that's going to be great is anything that's a specialty grain type of bread, and that's lower than table sugar at 53, which is actually a medium level for glycemic index, 53 plus or minus 2. But you don't need to know the glycemic index. You just need to follow these 4 simple guidelines when you're choosing your breads. And the first one is, what does it look like? Does it look like it's got something to digest, or does it look like it's a highly processed flour that's just been baked? So for example, here's Wonder Bread. Used to be a favorite of moms everywhere. Wonder Bread is just a very highly processed flour. It's one of those white flours that's going to have a glycemic index of 75 or more. So, you just want to visually look at it. Does it have stuff on it that's going to slow down the digestive process? When the digestive process is slowed down, so does your blood sugar slow down. It doesn't raise quite so highly or quickly. So, okay, we're just doing the visual test on Wonder Bread. It doesn't really pass the visual test. Let's go to the nutrition facts label and see what we can discover here. So the next thing we want to look for is the calories. I'm looking for a bread that is 100 calories or less per serving. And Wonder Bread is 140 calories per serving, but a serving for Wonder Bread is 2 slices. So you could actually cut the serving in half and come in at 70 calories and still at least meet the calorie profile, but it doesn't meet the visual profile. Then we're going to go to the added sugars, also on the nutrition facts label, and it's got 5 grams of added sugars, but that's for 2 slices. So if you cut it in half, it's only 2.5 grams of added sugars. And the target for us is going to be 4 grams of added sugars or less. So we want to keep it at 4 because our bodies can only handle 4 grams of sugar at a time. That's 1 teaspoon. So if you had both serving sizes, if you had both 2 slices of bread, which is the 1 serving size, this would be too much sugar. But if you cut it in half, it would be okay. And then the last thing we're going to do is look at the ingredients list and see what it's made with. So we're looking for the first 3 foods, and we're going to remember that water and vitamins and minerals and spices and chemicals are not foods. So we're looking for the first 3 foods, and we don't want the first 3 foods to be sugar or any other caloric sweetener. So let's see what's in Wonder Bread. The first food is enriched flour, so that's your basic white flour. And then the second food is high fructose corn syrup. So, Wonder Bread doesn't fit our profile for 2 categories. It doesn't look like it's got anything that's going to slow down the digestive process, and it's got high fructose corn syrup as the second food. So it wouldn't be my choice of a bread product. but you can make it, you could probably make a half of a case for it. Let's go to Rye Bread. Rye seeded bread by Pepperidge Farm, a respected bread manufacturer. And he's giving us some clues on the front, 80 calories, 1 gram total sugar. So the front, if that's true, that's pretty good. And I'm looking at it and I can see the seeds. And the seeds are going to slow down that digestive process. And as we know from reviewing the glycemic index chart that I had up earlier, anything that's a specialty sprouted or grain bread is going to be a better choice. So maybe rye bread is one of them. And we're going to go to the nutrition facts label on the side. And the first thing we're going to notice is that the calories per serving is 80 and the serving is 1 slice of bread. And this is a pretty large slice of bread. Then we're going to look at the added sugars. It has less than 1 gram of sugar for added sugars. So we've looked at it visually. It's got seeds. That's good. We've looked at the calories. It's got 80. That's good. We've looked at the added sugars. It's less than 1 gram. We don't want any more than 4. That's good. And we're going to go now to the ingredients list, and it's got enriched wheat flour. Okay, that's fine. And then it's got rye flour, yeast, whole grain rye flour, wheat gluten. So there was no caloric sweeteners in the first 3 foods. So this choice, this rye bread, fits the profile. It's a really good choice if you like rye bread. Let's go to Thomas's English muffin. There's no clues on the front, but lots of people like English muffins for breakfast every day. So we're going to go straight. Oh, we're going to look at it. It doesn't pass the visual test, I don't think. It doesn't look like there's things to digest. This looks like your basic white flour that's going to raise your blood sugar very quickly. So let's go to the nutrition facts. First thing is it's 150 calories per serving, but a serving is a whole muffin, so that's 2 pieces. Then we're going to go to the added sugars. It says 0 grams of added sugars. And then we're going to go to the ingredients list. And the first ingredient is wheat flour. And then the second ingredient is farina. And then the third ingredient is yeast. So there's no caloric sweetener in the first 3 foods. So this doesn't pass the visual test. And if you eat the whole muffin, it's a little more calories than the target of 100. It's 150. But, if you eat a serving, it's okay. It's, it doesn't have all 4 criteria, but it's okay. Let's look at Ezekiel Bread. Ezekiel Bread, I had to actually go to a health food store to get this. I live in a vacation destination where there's not a high year-round population, so the grocery stores don't always carry Ezekiel Bread. But if you live in a larger city than I do, you might be able to find it in your grocery store. I paid $6.49 for this, and you'll see why in a second. So we're just going to first do the visual test, and it's got lots of things that are going to slow down the digestion of this bread. There's oats and seeds and all kinds of things that I can see visually on this bread. And then I'm going to go to the nutrition facts label, which is on the side of the bread. And a serving size is 1 and the calories is 80. So I'm looking for 100 calories or less per serving, so that's good. Then I'm going to go to added sugars. There's none. That's good. So it's passed 3 tests so far. Visually, calories, added sugars, and then I'm going to look at the ingredients. And it's got organic sprouted wheat. It's got organic malted barley, organic sprouted rye, organic sprouted barley, organic sprouted oats, and even more. So this is a really great choice if you don't mind the $6.49 price tag, and in my case, if I don't mind going to a health food store. So that's another good choice. Then let's go to Pepperidge Farms whole grain, 15 grain bread. This passes the visual test. It's got stuff. It's got oats that I can see, and maybe there's some seeds here too. And It's telling me it's got 6 grams of protein per slice, and it's a big, husky loaf of bread. So let's go to the nutrition facts and see how this one does. So the serving size is 1 slice, and these are big slices, and it's 130 calories. That's a little bit more than the target of 100. Let's go to the added sugars. It's got 3 grams of added sugars, and recall that the target is no more than 4, so it's under the target, but it's actually more than some of the other examples we've been looking at. And let's look at what's in this. Let's look at the ingredients. So it's got whole wheat, and then it's got wheat gluten, and then the third food is sugar. So we were trying to make sure that sugar or any other caloric sweetener was the 4th food or lower. So this partially meets the criteria. It was a little higher in calories, and it had sugar in the first 3 foods. Let's look at this one. This is the store brand of a whole wheat bread. And I'm just looking at it, and I don't see any nuts or seeds or grains that look like it's going to slow down the digestive process. It just looks like brown flour, mostly to my eye. So it doesn't pass the visual test, but let's see what's on the nutrition label. So the first thing we're going to do is look at the servings, and it's 1 slice, and it's 90 calories. So that's under my caloric target of 100. And then I'm going to go straight to the added sugars. And it's got 1 gram of added sugar, so that's well below my 4 gram max. And then I'm going to go to the ingredients, and I'm going to look and see what's there. And it's got whole wheat flour, and then it's got wheat gluten, and then it's got soybean or canola oil. And so this one, other than the visual test, it meets most of the criteria. So that's another choice. And just for something different, I picked up some boboli, which is a crust kind of bread. And I'm just looking at the crust, and it's got lots of stuff to digest on it. I can see all these textured things, and it just looks really pretty. So now I'm going to go to the nutrition facts label, and I can see that the serving size is 1A, huh? Woo, 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 woo. That's a pretty small serving size, actually. And I'm wondering if anybody would stick to that serving size. And the serving size is 140 calories. So that's a pretty hefty price to pay in calories. But I go to the added sugars, and there's a 0. And then I go to the ingredients list, and it's wheat flour, palm oil, milk, yeast. So again, this is a partial meeting of criteria. It's high in calories. It's a small portion size. And otherwise, it's pretty good. And the last one that we're going to look at today is the Thomas's Bagels. And I'm going to look at it visually. And there's nothing there to slow down the digestive process. It just looks like white flour that's been baked. And then I'm going to go to the nutrition facts. And 1 serving is 1 bagel. And that's 270 calories. Woohoo, that's a lot of calories. Even if you ate a half, that would be 135 calories for a half, which is over the 100 target. And then we're going to go to the sugars, and it's 5 grams of added sugars. And remember, we don't want to go over 4, so you would have to do a half a serving to meet the criteria. And then we're going to look at the ingredients, and what has it got? It's got enriched wheat flour and barley flour and sugar. So sugar is the 3rd food ingredient. So this one doesn't meet enough criteria for me. I would definitely not pick this one. So the 2 that were for sure great were the Ezekiel Bread, which is a little bit pricey, but a very excellent bread. And the Rye Bread, which is less pricey. And if you like rye, that would also be another choice. And then the other ones were all really decisions that you would have to make based on your own personal preference and based on where you want to compromise. So you see how I do it. It's really not hard whatsoever. And I hope you'll take the time the next time you go to grocery store to pick your bread consciously and carefully. And I hope you'll come back and visit again. Bye for now.